Hello all of you beautiful people, Jules here for WhatCulture.com, and you know what, no video game is ever going to be perfect, and considering the mind-boggling complexity of modern video games, it's little surprise that even the greatest and most expertly crafted AAA masterworks are full of little bugs and glitches. But you know what, some of these glitches were so egregious, ridiculous, or infuriating enough that for many players, they tainted the game forevermore. So let's take a look at them. As I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 unbelievable video game glitches that ruined everything. Number 10. Human anatomy clipping through clothing. Cyberpunk 2077. So let's be fair, the Cyberpunk launch was, a bit of a mess. The console versions of this game in particular were rife with potentially game-breaking bugs, though even those glitches couldn't match the immersion-annihilating insanity of characters' bodies clipping through their own clothing. For example, I was doing a stream and I made a character who was like a Cyberpunk Josh Brown, that's what we called him, and it very much was like Josh Brown because he just had his dick out the entire time. I told him to put trousers on, I put many trousers on, but he refused. It definitely did taint the experience somewhat. While the glitch initially caused amusement amongst players, it also turned the game into an overnight laughingstock, taking what was supposed to be a serious, immersive, deep dish RPG and reducing it down to, a dick joke. Until CD Projekt Red patched the glitch, it was all that anyone could talk about, and that was not a good thing. Number 9. The Ice Cream Factory Save Corruption. Grand Theft Auto Vice City. Grand Theft Auto Vice City is, of course, one of the greatest games ever released for the PS2, but for those who played first-run copies of this sandbox classic, a potentially game-breaking glitch was just lying in wait. Players who purchase the Cherry Poppers Ice Cream Company factory will find a save point inside, but using said save point had the tendency to corrupt players' save files at total random. It didn't happen to everyone, but if it did, you'd instantly lose hours and hours of gameplay given that you aren't able to purchase property until much later into Vice City's story. Though word quickly spread online back in a less connected world of 2002, many unsuspecting players found themselves robbed of their precious invested time through no fault of their own. The glitch was eventually removed from later manufacturing runs of Vice City on PS2 and for all releases on other platforms, but the damage had already been done for many. Number 8. The 27% glitch. Far Cry 2. Though largely praised by critics for its mesmerizing open world, Far Cry 2 also received a fair amount of blowback regarding its overabundance of glitches, particularly the infamous 27% glitch. Players who reached 27% completion and had completed all faction missions in Act 1 would find themselves directed to the APR HQ in Pala, but upon attempting to enter the objective location, the door would be closed with no possible way to continue the game. Now, 27% isn't the only point at which players can get locked out of continuing, but it is the most common, and unless you've got another save file on hand, you're basically out of luck. Despite Ubisoft promising to patch the problem, it is still present in the game 12 years later, with Reddit threads of affected players still popping up as recently as last year. Now, life is too damn short to roll the dice on a game that might just randomly wall you off from actually finishing it. Number 7. Navi really wants you to listen. The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. As much as The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is one of the most beloved video games, and say it with me kids, of all time, there's little denying that the fairy sidekick Navi is one of the most obnoxious characters ever created for any medium. Its grating, repeated utterances of "Hey, listen!" became nails on a chalkboard for an entire generation of players, transforming an otherwise ultra-useful character into a migraine-inducing annoyance. But things can be much, much worse, and that can happen if you get caught in the environment near a point of interest, because this will cause it to go into an absolute meltdown as she screams her signature word vomit at you ad nauseum until you manage to free yourself. It's enough to push an already frustrated player over the edge and just rage quit the entire game. Nobody needs this banshee-like bleating in their life. Number 6. Aren't You Cold, Arthur Morgan? Red Dead Redemption 2. Red Dead Redemption 2 is an absolute engineering powerhouse of a game, as most Rockstar titles are, but since it was patched late last year, a strange glitch has begun to emerge for many players. As you walk around the camp and interact with other members of the Vandalind gang, they'll make relentless comments about how cold the weather is and how absolutely freezing that you must be, no matter whether it is actually cold or a bright sunny day, nor how sensibly bundled up you might be. Considering that the camp is basically the hub around which the game's immersion is built, it's pretty damn annoying to hear characters constantly remarking about how you're going to freeze to death, instead of, I don't know, telling you the rich stories of what brought them together. Almost 6 months on, the glitch still remains in the game, with many angry players surmising that Rockstar is so consumed with their lucrative online modes for GTA 5 and Red Dead Redemption 2 that they've basically lost interest in polishing the single player. Number 5. Falling Through the Floor, Fable 3. Though not nearly as well received as its predecessors, Fable 3 was still a solidly worthwhile title for the most part. Exploring the rich land of Albion proved plenty rewarding, that is, if you could avoid falling through the damn floor. Video game message boards circa 2010 are littered with posts from disgruntled players who have found themselves randomly falling through the map, and even when reloading their save, the glitch often persists, effectively ruining said save. While some players have had success enlisting the help of co-op players to teleport them to the Sanctuary dressing room, for those without the benefit of a pal who also owned the game, they were perhaps left to rage quit with all of their progress lost. Infuriatingly, Lionhead never patched this glitch, and even as recently as last year, players are still reporting its occurrence. Number 4. The Cursed Elevators, Grim Fandango. Grim Fandango is quite rightly regarded as one of the most critically acclaimed adventure games ever made, but it has also faced criticism for some of its more esoteric puzzle elements, and of course, those damned cursed elevators. Now, the original PC release of the game featured a bizarre glitch which prevented some players from completing a puzzle in which they had to use a forklift to stop an elevator. Because the elevator's movement was tied to the clock time of the CPU on the player's computer, those with more advanced PCs were not only physically unable to stop the elevator and complete the puzzle, but were likely not even aware that it could be stopped. LucasArts did eventually release a patch to fix it, though in a rather ironic twist, the 2015 remastered release offered up a new bug which randomly locked players inside the elevator. Again though, this was patched soon enough. Number 3. Main Research, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes. Metroid Prime 2 Echoes is a fantastic sequel and a mighty challenging game. Before you even get into the fact that the player can lock themselves out of progressing any further late into the game through no fault of their own. Upon reaching the main research chamber in Sanctuary Fortress, players are tasked with destroying 3 sonic emitters in order to get through. However, if you leave the area before shooting all 3 emitters and then return, any remaining emitters will be gone, but the door to advance will remain locked. Infuriatingly, there's no way to get around this, especially if you saved your game after leaving the area. You'll need to start from scratch, which many will understandably not have much desire to do. The glitch was removed from the Japanese release of Metroid Prime 2 many months later, but the outcome for Western players was largely left up to chance, or if they luckily read a warning about the glitch online before playing. Number 2. Press X to Shaun, Heavy Rain. I mean, do I need to say how this completely ruins the immersion of Heavy Rain? It's literally just the protagonist running around saying Shaun when you don't want him to. Oh boy. And number 1, it breaks your entire PC. EVE Online Trinity. In the more literal sense, this glitch included in the original release of EVE Online's expansion Trinity could basically turn your computer into a very expensive paperweight. Within just a day of its 2007 release, reports emerged that updating the existing EVE client to Trinity would also result in Windows XP users' boot.ini file, which was the file used to store boot configurations, could possibly be deleted. This would in effect prevent users from booting their PC, and though computer literate folk would be able to get things running again with some help online, back in 2007 it was way more of a hassle, when we didn't even have all of the phones in our pockets capable of quickly looking things up. Developer CCP Games at least acted fast, releasing a patch in just a single day to resolve the issue, and even offered advice to help afflicted users restore their systems. Even so, the fact that such a gaffe could slip through the net is absolutely unforgivable, but that didn't stop CCP from making a joke about it in an internal employee video later released to the public. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 unbelievable video game glitches that ruined everything. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comments section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on Twitter at RetroJ0, or you can swing by Live and Let's Dice, that's Dice with a C, where I do all of my streaming outside of work, and it'd be great to see you over there. But before I go, my friend, I just want to say one thing. I hope you're treating yourself well, both mentally and physically, because you deserve all the best things in life, like love, happiness, and respect, just like every other human being out out there, and I hope that you are achieving those goals. But if you're not, then please don't worry, my friend, because it happens to the best of us. Just remember, you've got friends, family, professionals in the support industry, people out there who care about you and want you to do well, and we all want you to go out there and absolutely smash it. Why? Because you're a big ledge. As always, I've been Jules, you have been awesome. Never forget that, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye.